Hello, I'm Clint Lambert. I'm the host today. This is February the 28th, and it is Tuesday. And we're here at the end of the month. But we've got Marie Lee with us today, who is our resident hearing expert, and she wants to let's have people hear better. So Marie, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you with us. What you got to tell us about hearing?
Well, I have a couple hours worth. And as people know when they talk to me, once I get started, you have to really give me the time out. But there are a couple of things I want to talk about today. Probably one of the most important ones is about when you wear your hearing aids. Now, probably almost everybody here at Green Spring, because of our age, has lost some hearing.
Yes. And
many of us don't want to admit it. And we just go along without doing anything about it.
Right.
And then our brain gets used to that. That becomes our sound world. We're lacking some hearing.
Yes.
And so we go about our activities until it comes to the point where I just really can't cope. I can't hear anymore.
Yes.
And sometimes that happens as you hit 80 or 85. Almost everybody at those ages has some hearing loss, possibly even a moderate to severe hearing loss in some of the ranges that we hear.
With all the different noises that we're exposed to all the time, I mean, not surprising.
Yes, it is. I mean, we're constantly, we like to think that noise is something you don't really want to hear, and sounds are what you want to hear.
Right.
And so as these people finally decide, gee, I'm not hearing very well, they might go and try to find a hearing aid.
Right.
And so that's a great first step, admitting that you have a hearing loss and going to the audiologist and being tested and finding out whether you have a moderate hearing loss or a severe hearing loss or something in between. And then you get these hearing aids, which often are quite expensive.
Yes.
And what comes with the hearing aids with an audiologist is service after the sale. And so people get the hearing aids and they put them in and they come back to Green Spring and they say, gee, I can't hear any better.
Right.
Or it doesn't sound right.
Right.
And so they take the hearing aids out and put them in the drawer. And then the only time they wear their hearing aids is when they know they're going to be going to a meeting or they're going to be having a conversation with someone. So what they're doing is giving themselves part-time hearing.
Right.
And they don't understand why they're not hearing better with their hearing aids. And the reason is because they've not given their brains a chance to expand the sound world.
Yes.
To the new sounds with the hearing aids.
Right.
So you have to constantly stimulate the auditory nerve and your brain by hearing new sounds or noise with your hearing aids. And the more you wear them, the more your sound world is going to expand and the better you will hear.
Yes.
So what I try to do to encourage residents who tell me, oh yes, I have hearing aids, they're in the drawer by my bedside. And I said, well, they're not doing your bedside drawer any good.
Right.
But they could do you a whole lot of good.
Exactly.
If you wake up in the morning and as soon as you've showered, you put your hearing aids in and you leave them in until you go to bed at night.
Right.
Even if you're alone,
yes,
there are going to be sounds that your brain needs to hear because you may not want to hear the refrigerator running, but your brain will learn after a while to discount the sound of the refrigerator running versus the sound of the telephone ringing.
Exactly.
So that's what I'd like to push, that people wear their hearing aids full time and give your brain a chance to be trained. So
because it's amazing to me walking down the halls even of how many people do not have the hearing aids in. Or somebody will say to them, you know, did you put your hearing aids in? And they go, no. You know, but what? You know, and it's this thing. What did you say? What did you say? The other day was an individual passed us, and the person that was with him said the same thing 5 different times to the person that they were trying to communicate with. Yes. And, you know,
And each time they say it, each time they repeat it, it gets louder and louder. And when a sound becomes louder, it becomes muffled. And so you really don't want to speak louder to a person who has hearing loss, especially if they have a hearing device in. That hearing device is regulated to a normal pitch or a normal volume. And so talking louder to someone who doesn't hear just muffles the voice.
You have quite a few different instruments here on the
paraphernalia
here on the table.
Well, this is show and tell for hearing loss, and these are called assistive listening devices.
Assistive listening
devices.
Okay.
ALD is less of a tongue twister. And the first one I want to talk about is the one that is available here at Green Spring. And this is an FM receiver. It's available in the chapel, the Hunters Crossing Conference Center, the Akatink Room, and the Village Square Theater.
Okay.
And you can borrow one there. And it comes with an earpiece that fits in your ear. And when you borrow one from any of those rooms, it will be preset to the frequency of the sound system in that particular meeting room.
Okay.
And so all you need to do is to turn it on and adjust the volume, which is done with this. And then this just sits in your ear. It doesn't have to be poked all the way into your ear like some hearing aids are, but you should be able to hear much better because the sound is coming directly from the sound system, and you won't hear a lot of the background noise. It has a little bit of a clarity device within it. Now, I hear people who tell me, well, I don't use that, Marie, because this thing keeps falling out of my ear or it won't fit in my ear. And so I try to encourage them, even though we don't have these available at Green Spring, to buy another set of earbuds, which is the technology for an earphone, an old-fashioned earphone, which goes all the way over your ear. So now this is a different type of earbud that comes with a smartphone. So this is an iPhone earbud, a set of earbuds. And this is not a stereo receiver, but the sound will still come through both of them. And so these have a common plug, and all you do is plug it in and put one of these in each ear, and maybe they'll fit better than the other.
And also, you decrease any potential contamination from somebody else using it by having your own set, right?
Yes, that's very true. And that is one of the reasons why I, about a couple of times a year, I offer a group buy for these so people can have their own. And I think about 50 people have bought their own.
Wonderful.
And then we mark them so they know whose they are.
Yes.
Now, if the earbud doesn't work, you have to try a couple of different ones. Now, this is a $10 earbud that I bought at a local big box store. And this one has a removable earpiece that's bigger, and you can then put a smaller one on it. So if the outside opening of your ear is a little smaller, you just put this one on. And of course I can't, oh, there we go. And so this will fit in your ear. And this one also has 2 earbuds, so you can put one in each ear, and it fits right into the same receiver.
And so if I wanted to purchase something like this, I would go to a audiologist to acquire this, or would I go to a Walmart? Or
yes, you don't need to go to an audiologist to get an earbud for this.
Okay.
Because when you buy one, if you buy your own, it comes with the one that comes with it, which is where?
I think it's this one right here.
Right here. Yeah. This one. And if you decide that this one isn't comfortable, or you want to hear out of both ears, then you can buy your own. And this one is called Gummy. It's $9.88 at Walmart.
Okay.
And this one, of course, comes with an iPhone. But there are numerous types of earbuds that are available to fit in this and other devices that use an earbud. Now, when you use this, you have to take out your hearing aid, especially if it's an in-the-ear hearing aid, and put your hearing aid in a safe place. And the wire of the earbud is also the antenna. So usually when you use it, it's a good idea to just straighten this out and then plug it in, let it lay on your on your lap, and put it in. And people who use these are amazed at the difference in the sound quality of meetings in the theater or the Ekatink room, the church services, and at Hunter's Crossing. And
because I've been amazed how many people have avoided going to the venues, saying that they can't hear in those venues, and they have not tried to utilize the equipment that's there.
That's right. Now, I would encourage group leaders to mention before a meeting starts in any of those 4 venues that hearing assist devices are available. And many group leaders don't know it themselves, and they don't offer them. And I find that if I'm in a meeting, I'll look around and I'll get up and say, you know, use one. Now, this next device, this is an alarm clock.
Oh.
Now, many people can't see the numbers on the alarm clock. This one has a fairly large display, and of course we don't have it plugged in. But this one has a large display. It has a battery backup, so if you do unplug it or the power goes out, when you plug it back in, the time comes back up as long as your battery is good. Now, what this does is that when this alarm goes off, you might not hear it if you're hearing impaired, and of course when you're sleeping, you don't usually wear your hearing devices. So this is called like a shake awake. So you put this pad, this device, underneath your pillow or underneath your mattress, and when the alarm goes off, the sound alarm will go off, and this thing will just wiggle all over the place.
So it's a vibrator.
It's a vibrator. It wakes you up.
Okay.
I mean, it will wake you up. I promise you it will wake you up. And you can set this particular model of alarm clock for the sound only, or the vibrator only, or both of them. And it has a snooze button, and it's fairly easy to set. But as many people know, if you have difficulty setting something like this, just give me a call and I'll come over and help.
Okay.
And then the third item I have is a telephone with large buttons. And it also has a display on it. But the important thing about this is that it has a volume control. Okay. So you can make the sound of the ring louder, and also the sound of whoever is calling you louder. Now, this doesn't work for me because it just doesn't work. I can't hear. Okay. I really can't hear at all without my cochlear implant on. And so what I use is a caption phone. Oh. And the only phone that I found that works here at Green Spring is through Caption Call, CAPTION-CALL. And Caption Call provides a free phone and free captioning service using voice recognition technology. Wow. So when you call me on my phone and I answer it and I say hello and you say hello, the words come on the screen of the phone. And it's, I couldn't get along without it.
Sure.
And I recommend it highly to people who have hearing loss, because you can hear the voice as well. But if you need help saying, well, I wonder what time they said, was it 9 o'clock or 5 o'clock, you can look at the caption and see the signs, see it right there. So
we only have 1 minute left.
We do, okay. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is to just watch the news. Okay. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've had people sending me newspaper articles, and I've seen newspaper articles. There's some big news, and that is that the Food and Drug Administration is starting to use some of the recommendations from the National Academies of Science study over the last 2 years, and hearing aids may soon be offered over the counter.
Oh, wonderful.
Now, that sounds wonderful. However, most of the people I come in contact with have hearing losses that would not be helped by an over-the-counter hearing aid, because it's really just for someone who has a very mild hearing loss, just needs a little boost in volume. And usually the loss is the same across the spectrum of sounds. And I don't find that here. I find that most of the loss is in the high sound. So it is interesting that there is a lot of hearing loss news in the news. And the reason for that is because there are about 10,000 people each day turning 65.
Yes.
And this big group of baby boomers are coming, and they're losing their hearing every day, more and more of it.
Well, Marie, you have some fascinating aids here, and I hope people will pay attention and get the aid that they need to help them listen better, hear better, and better communicate with one another.
Yes. Well, if they'll come to my hearing loss support group meeting, the next one is March 23rd at 10:30 in the morning in the Village Square Theater.
March 23rd, 10:30 in the morning, Village
Square Theater. And Gina Cravato, who is Green Springs resident audiologist, will be there to answer questions for an hour.
Okay.
And she has office hours here on Fridays.
But she'll be here on the 23rd of
March
okay.
23.
From 10:30 to 11:30, Village Square Theater.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much for sharing this with us this morning.
You're welcome.
And I hope people get what they need and hear better.
I hope so too.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.